What's up, Ragin Nation? How y'all doing? This is Alex, you watching the Ragin Ronin review, and today we got a top 10 list for you guys. Today's top 10 list will be top 10 gangster films, and I absolutely love gangster films because I love the fascinating characters that they come with. They all want something. They all want something badly, and then they will do anything in their means and power to obtain it. It doesn't matter if it's going to be an unthinkable, an unconventional, or unlawful way. They're going to do whatever they can to obtain it. It doesn't matter if it's wealth, money, drugs, women, power, and the next thing you know, when they have all those things, they want more of it, more power, more women, more money, just all of it. And it's a very, very fascinating process because these are people that live larger than life lives, okay? And a lot of these lives that they lead are also possibly non-fictional lives. These are people who really led a life of true crime, and these are true stories. Not all of them, but some of them are, and which makes it even more fascinating. And I think that we, as the general movie-going public, you know, just regular people, we can relate to this sort of thing. Not that because we want to become gangsters or criminals or anything like that. It's just because we all want something. We have all always wanted something. It doesn't matter what it is, but we want something. And it's very interesting to see that these people, they want something so badly that they'll do anything to obtain it. We, on the other hand, you know, we won't do anything like that. I hope not. but we see the struggle, okay? We see that in general, we see that there is someone who really wants something so badly. So it's a very, very interesting thing, and we just live our lives for 2 hours through these larger-than-life characters, and it's a very, very fascinating and exciting ride. So that's what makes me so interested and fascinated by the gangster movie genre. Now let's get on with the top 10 list, and we're going to start off with number 10, and that would be Boys in the Hood. Now this is a very interesting choice. It's directed by John Singleton, and the reason why I chose this is not because it starts off with like these kids who want to become gangsters. It's because of these kids who live a life in this gangster and hostile filled environment, and they just try to cope with it. And so this is a very, very interesting take on the gangster genre, and it just shows us how hard the life in the ghetto can be. Now, number 9 is Scarface. Now, here is a gangster movie. This is a movie where we have Al Pacino as Tony Montana, and he's just trying to do whatever he can, whatever means necessary. Doesn't mean if it's steal, kill, whatever. He just wants to rise to the top, and it's quite an epic journey. Number 8 is Menace to Society. Menace to Society is another ghetto gangster film, and it is from the Hughes brothers. And what they did here is they took another route. Instead of doing the John Singleton thing with Boys in the Hood, where it's about these kids, it's about these other kids, well, I guess youths, who want to lead that kind of life. You know, they want to live that hard life because it's something that really excites them. But little do they know that once you get in, you can't get out. It's just going to always follow you even though you don't want to be a part of that life anymore. And it's a tough life. So very, very great movie, very violent movie, but it really sends the message in a very, very strong way. Number 7 is Donnie Brasco. Now, and this is a gangster movie about the Italian mafia. Now, the protagonist isn't exactly part of the gangsters, but you might as well call him that because he is undercover. And what's really cool is the great performance from Donnie Brasco. Not Donnie Brasco, but Johnny Depp playing Donnie Brasco, the title character, because he lives his life as an undercover cop, and he has to go through everything that they go through. And it's really quite a scary thing just to see what he has to live with, and knowing that possibly one day he can get whacked. So that is pretty crazy, all right? So that's number 7. Number 6 is American Gangster, directed by Ridley Scott, one of my favorite directors of all time. And he directed a very, very amazing film, a very epic film about Denzel Washington being the big guy who brings heroin into the streets of New York and just really turns it into an empire, like a big business. And it's just interesting to see that process and how it becomes so big to the point where, you know, he controls it. He controls his empire. It's amazing. Number 5 is a movie from director John Woo from Hong Kong, and that is called A Better Tomorrow. This movie really redefined, or in fact, it defined the gangster genre in Hong Kong. It was probably the most iconic gangster film of all time in Hong Kong at the time, and it still is, really. It still is. I believe it stands the test of time because of the great characters. Now, once again, this is about the rise and fall, but this story is a little more unique because it deals with siblings. A brother that leads a life of crime, and another brother who wants to bring him down. And this type of theme has been explored many times in other movies, but I think they did it the best in A Better Tomorrow. And John Woo really created this new genre, not just the gangster genre in Hong Kong, but the heroic bloodshed genre, where you have characters like the brother Mark character, made famous by internationally acclaimed action star Chow Yun-fat. He made this character so iconic from the look and just the charisma and just the gunfights and gun battles, and it's just an amazing film. You have to check that out. Definitely a classic. Number 4 is another Asian film. It's a Korean gangster film, and it's called Chingu, which means friend. And this is kind of similar to Better Tomorrow, but it's a little different in the way that you have 4 friends, and these 4 friends all grew up. 2 of them became, normal guys, but one of them became a street thug, and the other one became a more high-up gangster, a more classy gangster. The ones that wear suits all the time. Well, then it becomes like they're on opposite sides of, not the law, but opposite sides of the criminal faction, okay? These 2 gangs are warring against each other, but they don't forget that they were always friends. So, and then you have these 2 other friends who are in the middle of it all. And it's just such a great character piece. It's a great story, and I think you should all check it out. It's very, very violent. I must warn you, it is a very violent film. But it is a great film with a great story and some really well-written characters and some very vulgar dialogue, as to be expected. Number 3, that would be A Bronx Tale. Robert De Niro's directorial debut. After being in so many Martin Scorsese films, he decided that he understands the genre where he decides he wants to tell the story himself. And I think he crafted a great film about a kid who just keeps on paying attention to what the gangsters are doing over in the bar around the corner, and then he wants to be that. He wants to be a part of that. He thinks it's such a glamorous and amazing, fun-filled life of just money and just hanging out all night. He wants that, but little does he know that it's going to be a rough life if he decides to do that, and it's going to be pretty tough to get out of that. And Robert De Niro plays the father of the kid, and it's a great film. Must check it out. I saw it in theaters. Okay, I took a date there, and I didn't think it was the brightest idea to bring a date to a gangster film that was really violent. Anyways, number two is a movie directed by Martin Scorsese, and that would be Casino, starring the greats Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and these guys are just amazing on screen. Man, oh man, I can't tell you how amazing this film is, and it really shows you how this crime boss becomes the biggest guy who controls this casino. And there's so much crazy stuff that goes on that we don't even know about. A lot of people party in Las Vegas all the time, but they don't know what really goes on. What you see goes on behind the scenes. It's some scary stuff, and Martin Scorsese really explores that aspect of it. So it's a really great film. You got to check it out. And number one is, in my opinion, the greatest gangster film of all time, and that would be Goodfellas. Goodfellas, Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta, directed by Martin Scorsese, and once again, a kid who wants to become a gangster, rise to the top and fall. This is a great story. It just shows you all the things that they go through, just like every other movie, but I think they did it really well here, because they, these are people who are all friends, but it's also, the scary part is knowing that you can be whacked at any time, and it's just a scary thing, and Martin Scorsese really brings that to us. And here's a character played by Ray Liotta who cannot escape that life. He loves the life so much. His wife tells him that we should get out of the life, but he just loves it so much that he can't get away from it. So there you have it. There's my top 10 list, and it's a really, really great list in my opinion. I think you should check all these films out. Now, some of you guys might be asking, why wasn't Training Day in it? Why wasn't The Departed in it? And why wasn't the Godfather series in it? Well, for starters, Training Day isn't even about gangsters. It's about corrupt cops. But there's a huge gangster element in it, but our protagonists are one corrupt cop and one rookie cop. Okay, as for The Departed, well, half of it's deals with gangsters and half of it deals with cops. So essentially it's a cop movie, not really a gangster movie. There are a lot of gangs in it, but the main element is a cat and mouse game between a criminal and an undercover cop. So I don't consider that a gangster movie, but it is in some way in the gangster genre, but it's not a full-on gangster movie. It's more of a cop drama, right? And as for the Godfather series, I just never watched it. I never saw the Godfather trilogy. I just thought they were too long at 3 hours each movie, and I'm sure they're great movies. A lot of people are saying that I think Godfather 1 or 2 or 3, I don't know, one of them is supposed to be the best one. I can't remember which one it is, but it's very epic. It's a very epic movie. That's all I heard. Like, it deals with really, like, deep, it deals deep within the roots of Italian mafias, and it goes all the way back to Sicily, to Italy. You know, they trace back the roots, and I think that's a little bit too epic for me. We check it out one day, you know, because I heard it's, you know, it's one of those top 100 films of all time. So, you know, I gotta check that out, alright? But as you already know, I already told you my list with number 1 being Goodfellas, and it's a great film, alright? So there you have it. You know how these top 10 lists works. Let me know in the comment section below what is the top 10 list that you want me to do next, and I'll do it for you if I think it's really, really interesting list. And also, let me know what your top 10 gangster films are, if you have 10 gangster films, or give me some recommendations, alright? So there you have it. That's all I gotta say in this video. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation, and also follow me on Twitter, @Ragin Nation. My name is Alex Yu. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. But I gotta say that it didn't bother me that much, because keep in mind, Zack Snyder was not trying to make a carbon copy of the originals. Now let's talk about the direction and Zack Snyder as the director.